On the day of her wedding, a woman's heart was ripped out by her own husband. He stole her golden core, the source of her power, all so he could ascend to immortality. She, who once commanded the cultivation world, met a pathetic end. She had nothing left to live for. But by a twist of fate, she was reborn in the body of a princess. Yet destiny's cruel jokes didn't stop there. Thrown into a neglected palace from birth, the king planned to sacrifice her soul to his twin son, the prince, to extend his life. Because her brother, the sole heir to the throne, was born with a curse that he wouldn't live past 16. Only the sacrifice of her soul could break it. Because she was born with crimson eyes, she was seen as a bad omen who would bring the prince misfortune. Her cold-blooded father could kill her at any moment, and she also had to deal with her spoiled, domineering younger brother. But to survive, her first mission was to turn her ice-cold dad into a doting father. It was her third month in this new world when a stray spark from the fireplace ignited her small bed. All she could do was wail, hoping someone would come to her rescue. As the flames grew higher, she decided she couldn't just wait to die. She thrust out her tiny hand. "Behold, my ice blast!" But she'd forgotten. In this infant's body, her past life's powers were long gone. Just as she was sinking into despair, the door to her neglected palace wing burst open. A handsome man appeared. It was Levi, the head steward. He saw the burning crib and gasped. "What's going on? How did it catch fire?" He quickly waved his hand, casting an ice spell that instantly froze the blazing fire. Then a mysterious force lifted her into the air and carried her toward him. Seeing the princess was unharmed, he finally let out a long sigh of relief. Two servants knelt on the floor, begging for mercy. Levi glared at them. "You left Her Highness alone in her room to go slack off. Starting tomorrow, you're on furnace duty. Since you're so afraid of the cold, you can live in the boiler room." With that, the guards dragged the two servants away. Levi had once received a great kindness from Elsa's mother, which is why he had always taken such good care of her. Though he seemed a bit cold, he was the only person she could trust. Thinking of all her misfortunes, she decided that in this life, she would use her wits to rise to the top. Thankfully, she had memories from her past life. If she could just cultivate and regain even a fraction of her former strength, she could escape this place. She tried meditating for all of 5 seconds before her weak infant body gave in to sleep. When she woke up, she realized a horrifying truth. This world had no spiritual energy. She burst into tears of frustration. No spiritual energy meant no cultivation, and no cultivation meant no escape. All she could do was channel her grief into guzzling milk. Maybe if she grew up faster, she could finally deal with that heartless monster of a father. And so Elsa spent 5 peaceful years. One day, she went to the garden and felt that just like everything else, the plants here had no spiritual energy. Still, she wanted to try alchemy. What if it worked? She overheard 2 servants whispering about her father's cold-blooded cruelty, and a dark cloud formed over her head. I have to avoid that bloodthirsty demon at all costs. But just then, the king himself, followed by his guards, began walking toward her neglected palace. In the garden, she suddenly found a spirit herb. Hope ignited within her. She decided to try alchemy. She stretched out her short arms. Her face squished against the fence, but she still couldn't reach it. She had no choice but to squeeze her small body through the bars. What she didn't realize was that this garden was her father's forbidden zone. Anyone who entered was executed. No exceptions. As she joyfully picked the spirit herb, her crimson eyes suddenly widened. A figure came into view. It was her cold-blooded father. The king also noticed her, his murderous gaze locking onto her, making Elsa's mouth drop open in fear. With a wave of his hand, a mysterious force pulled her through the air toward him. The king saw her crimson eyes and finally realized who she was, the daughter he had cast away. Fear gripped Elsa's heart. Yep, this is him. My father, Ozel. He looked down at her imperiously. Did you pick all these flowers? She stared back with her blood-red eyes. It's over. It's over. I'm going to be killed. Then she broke into a cute smile and gently poked her father's leg. "Daddy, no peeking without my permission." "Okay." She then scampered off toward a nearby flower bush. This bizarre move left the king utterly bewildered. Just then, Levi the steward appeared, begging the king not to punish Elsa and offering to take all responsibility. A cold glint flashed in the king's eyes. At that moment, Elsa returned with a flower crown. "This is a welcome gift for Daddy." Hearing the word Daddy, a flicker of human emotion crossed Ozel's cold eyes. Elsa ran up and hugged her father's leg, pretending to be happy, though even Levi was sweating for her. Ozel looked at the flower crown in his hand. Girls will be girls, always making such frivolous things. The little girl's expression didn't change, but inside she was grinding her teeth in frustration. Her father reached out a large hand, making Elsa tremble in fear. Was he going to hit her? But instead, he gently brushed a leaf from her hair. "So messy! You don't look like a princess at all!" He was just looking for an excuse to take her back to get cleaned up. The king turned to leave. Just when she thought she had escaped disaster, her father said without turning back, "Bring her to my palace tomorrow." The words struck Elsa and Levi like a bolt of lightning. Her heart tightened with anxiety. It seemed this demon father had no intention of letting her go after all. The next day, Levi brought Elsa to the main palace. She knew there was no escaping it. As they walked down a familiar hallway, Levi was suddenly reminded of her mother. He told Elsa that her mother was a confident and brave woman, once the most beautiful rose in the palace. Though the rose had withered, she had scattered a small seed into the world, and perhaps Elsa was that seed. Levi's encouragement gave her back her confidence. Whatever happened, she would just have to adapt. Her father was already waiting. Seeing Levi carrying Elsa, he wore a cold expression. "You're this old and still can't walk." Elsa immediately jumped down. "I just wanted to see Daddy sooner, so I had Levi carry me." Levi's legs are so long, he walks really fast. She then rushed forward to hug her father's leg, but Daddy's legs are even longer. She started the meeting with a wave of compliments. Levi respectfully informed the king that Elsa had lessons in the evening and hoped she could return on time. The king's face darkened. "Are you giving me an order?" Thankfully, Elsa stepped in. "Father, don't blame him," Levi said. "I have to study hard to become as amazing as you." Her words left him speechless. He then led Elsa to the dining room. She carefully studied the man before her. He was actually quite handsome. Her father, Ozel, spoke sternly. "Do you have any idea what the flower crown you gave me yesterday signifies?" But how would she know what those flowers meant? Watching the servants place one dessert after another in front of her father, she finally understood. This was her punishment. Eating all by himself in front of his daughter. Doesn't his conscience hurt? But her father, with a face of pure indifference, began telling her the story of Zeus, who had twin sons. When the younger son died tragically, the older brother begged their father to save him. But the only way was to sacrifice his own life. Ozel asked her what she would choose. Elsa knew her father was just hoping she would follow the older brother's example and offer herself up willingly. She gave a forced smile. If Zeus were as powerful as my daddy, he would have protected both of his children. Only a fool would answer that question directly. I'd choose both the brother and the sister. Elsa then went into full-on flattery mode, showering him with praises until the crisis was once again averted. Just as she was about to leave the palace, a boy appeared. Elsa turned around and saw a boy sitting on a stone lion behind her. It was her twin brother, Oyas. "So, you're the girl who's supposed to be sacrificed for me?" A dark cloud immediately formed over Elsa's head. Great. Just got away from the old one, and now the young one shows up. Smack! Her brother threw a bamboo dragonfly, hitting her on the head, then burst out laughing as the king's sole heir and the pitiful victim of a curse. He had always been the apple of the king's eye. Over time, Oceus had naturally become spoiled rotten. Elsa reluctantly curtsied to her prince, but her brother, acting like a total brat, started pinching and squishing her cheeks. "Oos!" A woman's voice cut through his torment. A lavishly dressed woman appeared. It was the Grand Duchess Hessa. Elsa quickly curtsied to her, but the Duchess only had eyes for Ovius. not even glancing at her. Just as Elsa was about to use the distraction to leave, Oz stopped her, demanding she get on all fours and be his horse. Elsa's jaw dropped. She knew if she gave in this time, he would only become more demanding. The Duchess's face turned grim as she threatened. If the king finds out, he's unhappy. You know the consequences. This Duchess seemed nice on the surface, but her words were laced with poison. Elsa grabbed Oyus's small hand. Come with me. Ignoring the Duchess's protests, the two of them disappeared from sight. The Duchess's face turned ashen. If anything happens to my Oyus, I will make you pay. Elsa led her brother to the garden and took out a handkerchief. She tossed it into the air and countless glowing butterflies fluttered out. Oyus was completely mesmerized by the magical scene. Osis was cursed and mages were using magic to sustain his life against fate's will. The price was that he couldn't learn magic himself. The king forbade him from learning any magic, which of course made him obsessed with it. Elsa knew just how to play him. She had used a simple magic trick prop to fool him. Oyus grabbed her hand. Sister, teach me magic. She was so stunned by his sudden use of the word sister. Elsa then switched into full-on scam mode. You want to learn magic? Run 3 laps around the garden and show me you have the determination. Osseous, the gullible fool, didn't hesitate for a second and started running. Before she left, she reminded him, remember to find me after you're done. And don't tell anyone about the magic. Just as she was about to leave, the Grand Duchess appeared again, seeing Osseous collapsed on the ground. She ran over worriedly. What happened to you? Oz gasped for breath. Sister said if I ran 3 laps, she'd teach me mop. Remembering his sister's warning, he quickly changed his story. It was just a running race. Back in the palace, the Duchess held the exhausted Oyus, her face dark and menacing. That cunning little brat. She was clearly tricking my Oyus. Next time, I'll make her pay. This teapot looks like a teapot, but it isn't really a teapot. The girl looks like a girl, but she isn't that simple. She tried to use the teapot and the most ordinary herbs to refine a divine pill, but ultimately she failed. To escape being sacrificed by her cold-blooded father, she would secretly practice alchemy every night. But that path was leading nowhere. Thinking of this, Princess Elsa felt her spirit sink. Suddenly, it started to pour. Huddled in a corner, shivering, she took out a match. Trying to find a little warmth from its faint flame, was her fate destined to be like this match? Just waiting for the day she would be sacrificed. She lit her last match, praying that someone in this palace could give her a sliver of hope to live. Suddenly, her eyes widened. Her father, the man she saw as a demon, appeared. He asked her, without a trace of emotion, what she was doing there. Elsa was a nervous wreck. I've been learning how to garden from the groundskeeper recently. I wanted to check on the plants and got trapped by the rain. A ripple went through the king's calm heart. Not only does she look like her, but she even likes the same things. He instinctively reached out, scooped Elsa into his arms, and decided to take her back himself. A servant quickly tried to remind him that the ministers were still waiting to discuss important matters. The king shot him a look, his eyes flashing with a bloodthirsty light, and carried Elsa toward the carriage. He casually summoned a water element, forming a large umbrella to shield them from the rain. It was the first time Elsa had ever felt the warmth of a father's love. On the way back, her rain-soaked body began to tremble. Suddenly, a red cape was draped over her. Feeling the lingering warmth of her father on the fabric, she quickly thanked him. But her father didn't respond. He had fallen into a deep sleep. Though he was cold-blooded and ruthless, she couldn't help but reach out her small hand to wipe the raindrops from his face. She just wanted to protect this handsome face. But she had gotten her hands dirty during her alchemy practice, and now she'd smeared soot all over his cheek. A jolt of terror shot through her. Oh my God, how did this happen? Thinking about the consequences if her father found out, her hair stood on end. I'm going to die 1,000 times over. She quickly tried to wipe the black handprint off with her sleeve. A large hand clamped down on hers. Her father had woken up. When they arrived, he picked Elsa up, walked off the carriage, and threw her to Levi. She turned back anxiously. Daddy, thank you for bringing Elsa back. Little did she know, her actions had planted a seed in the heart of this cold, tyrannical father. Later, the king looked at himself in the mirror, his mind replaying the moment Elsa wiped his cheek. A faint smile touched his lips. The next morning, as a servant was braiding Elsa's long pink hair, a maid burst in. "This is terrible! I heard the king got sick after bringing you back last night, and now the ministers have sent someone to hold you accountable." The little girl was stunned. What? Daddy's sick! If the father sneezed, the daughter could die. Because she had crimson eyes, she was considered an omen of misfortune. Just as the princess was worrying about her father, the empire's most powerful mage appeared. Elsa's eyes widened. A nation's strength depended on its mages, and the one with the most achievements was this grand mage, Kale. For such an important figure to show up because of a 5-year-old girl was unheard of. Snap! Kale snapped his fingers, and a pair of shackles materialized, locking her hands. He then pointed a finger at her. "I suspect the king's illness is related to you," Elsa timidly whispered. "His Majesty caught a cold after bringing me back in the rain last night. I'll go visit him." Kale laughed, as if he'd heard the world's biggest joke. How could the ruler of a nation fall ill from a simple cold? "It seems you've forgotten. You are a child of misfortune. His Majesty must have been tainted by your unlucky aura." He then revealed that the Grand Duchess had sent him specifically to put magic shackles on her. If she strayed too far from her neglected palace, they would automatically tighten. Elsa finally understood it was the Duchess who was behind this. Just as Kale was about to turn and leave, Levi respectfully bowed and offered him a freshly brewed cup of tea. Kale thought to himself, "Does he really think a lousy cup of tea can win me over?" But the next second, he picked up the cup and took a sip. He immediately sped out, "What is this stuff?"
It's salty and spicy.
Levi shrugged helplessly. "I'm sorry, we have limited supplies in this part of the palace. The good things must be saved for Her Highness, the princess. Even if she is a child of misfortune in your eyes, to me, she's the most important person I have." Elsa was deeply moved. Levi then waved his arm and a surge of blue energy shot out, shattering the shackles on Elsa's hands. She ran toward Kyle, who yelped in alarm. "You ouf, bad luck!" "Don't touch me." Kale's veins bulged. This master and servant duo are ganging up on me. He swung his arm and a powerful energy gathered in his palm. How could Levi possibly be a match for him? Still, he stood firmly in front of Elsa. "Stop!" The king appeared draped in a red robe. He glared at Kale. "What are you doing here?" Kale, dropping his earlier arrogance, stammered. "Your humble servant was just passing by and decided to check in." Princess Elsa and Levi rolled their eyes in unison. What a liar. So shameless. But you can't fool the ruler of a kingdom. He quickly made an excuse and fled. Elsa looked at her father, who had appeared just in time, and her heart filled with concern. He looked at the bruises on his daughter's arms, and for the first time felt a pang of protectiveness. In that moment, a question formed in Elsa's mind. For the past 5 years, she had believed her father was cold and heartless, but their recent encounters had changed her perception. Is he only concerned about me because I'm my brother's lifeline? As the king held the princess, he stared into Elsa's red eyes. Your eyes really are just like hers. This brought back memories of his time with her mother. Elsa saw the lonely expression on her father's face. Did I make him think of mother? The king stood up. As I thought, seeing you just brings back annoying memories. She watched her father's retreating back, filled with confusion. Levi, why does Dad get upset whenever Mom is mentioned? Was she a bad person? Levi knelt down and told her that if it wasn't for the former queen, he would have died long ago. Suddenly, his expression turned cold as he looked at the king's back. But that man watched your mother die. It's all his fault. Elsa had thought that her relationship with her father was improving and that he wouldn't sacrifice her to her brother so soon, but her situation hadn't actually gotten any better. She had offended the Grand Duchess and the Empire's most powerful mage, and she had tricked her brother Osseous. Thinking about it, her face darkened. Her days ahead were likely to be even harder. As she was worrying about how to handle all these troubles, A thought struck her. This world has no spiritual energy for cultivation. But I can learn magic. Just as she was about to leave, a black shadow darted out from the nearby bushes and tackled her to the ground. An arm wrapped around her waist, and she was instantly lifted into the air as the shadow fled in panic. Are you hurt? Elsa stared wide-eyed at the boy in front of her. This boy just saved me. Maybe this was like a fairy tale where, whenever the princess is in danger, her knight appears to protect her. The two of them stared intently at each other. The boy saw her blood-red eyes and quickly bowed. Greetings. I am Blair, an apprentice mage. Elsa reached out a small hand to help him up, but the next second, she grabbed him by the collar. The boy was stunned. Little did he know, the black shadow was attacking again. Elsa dragged him along as they fled. Blair glanced back at the shadow, and then turned to stand in front of the princess. There's no need to run, I'll handle it. He took out a magic book and began chanting a spell. A golden light descended from the sky, enveloping the shadow and binding it tightly. A golden fox was revealed. Seeing such an adorable creature, Blair slowly reached out to it. I'm sorry, did I scare you? But the fox was not having it and bit his hand hard. Still, he endured the pain and reached out again. Blair gently cradled it in his arms. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Elsa watched from the side, her eyes wide. He's so gentle. Are you Brat? The Grand Mage appeared, being supported by his aides. Seeing Elsa, he recoiled in terror. Why is the child of misfortune here? He then burst into tears. My butt hurts so much. It turned out that after he fled the neglected palace that day, the king had ordered his knights to give him a good caning. He began to loudly complain. Elsa was confused. Did father punish Kale because he knew he hurt me? But Kale wasn't here for Elsa. He just sternly scolded Blair. Hand over that demon. The boy looked stunned. Master Kale, this little one is actually very gentle. Kale's face twisted in anger. That demon not only caused a ruckus at the Magic Research Institute, but also broke into the palace. Hey, Kyle must eliminate all threats to the Empire's safety. Someone like you, who only summons disaster, is not fit to be a mage. Elsa was speechless at this over-the-top reaction. All these mages can't handle one little creature, she pointed at Blair. This young man not only saved me, but also caught the little creature by himself. From where I'm standing, it seems like you're the ones who aren't fit to be mages. Kale broke into a cold sweat. This girl is only 5. How is she so sharp-tongued? Hale righteously declared his vow to protect the palace. Elsa leaned in and whispered something in the boy's ear, then took Blair's hand and announced loudly, I have 2 things to say. First, I've decided that from this day on, this little creature is my pet. Second, I choose Blair to be my guardian knight. Her words left both of them stunned. A guardian knight was responsible for protecting a member of the royal family and held a position of great prestige. Kale suddenly became hesitant. Appointing a guardian knight is a serious matter. Blair is just a magic apprentice. Elsa grabbed Blair's arm. I want him to be my guardian knight. And doesn't he have an amazing teacher like you? The flattery hit its mark perfectly. Kale's face lit up and he started to boast. Teaching this kid magic is no problem for me. But this little demon can't stay. Elsa's face darkened as she threatened. If you dare take it, I'll tell my father on you. Cal quickly made himself scarce. From that day on, Elsa finally had someone to rely on. Since Blair was able to join the Mage Corps, his family must have come from a noble house. However, his parents had died in battle, and his extended family had seized all his assets. Fortunately, the king learned of his situation and arranged for him to join the Mage Corps. But aside from his family's inherited soul magic, he wasn't very skilled in other types of magic. And since soul magic was related to death, his peers and teachers disliked him. Blair touched his chest. To become your highness's guardian knight is my greatest honor. But what he didn't expect was that the first thing the princess asked him to do was teach her magic. Blair was shocked as the king had issued a decree forbidding the princess and her brother from learning magic. Elsa rolled her eyes. Her plan to get stronger was foiled again. But to survive, She decided she couldn't give up. She had to convince her father to let her learn magic. Just then, Levi the steward ran over and scooped Elsa up. "Come with me. We have to leave the palace by carriage right now." A plague broke out. The king became infected, and he ordered the royal family to hasten into quarantine. Since birth, she had wanted nothing more than to escape the palace. But now that the moment had finally come, she hesitated. Flashes of memories appeared in her mind. Although she hadn't seen her father many times, she could feel that he had been protecting and caring for her in his own way. She decided she couldn't just leave. She went to her father's chambers, where he lay weak in his sickbed. Elsa's face was full of concern. "Daddy, are you okay, sister?" Elsa whipped her head around to see her brother Ozos running toward her. It turned out their stepmother had tried to flee with him, but he couldn't bear to leave his father, and had snuck back. Just then, their father finally woke up. Through the glass partition, he told Elsa to take her brother and leave. Both siblings looked worried. "We were so worried about you." The king sighed. Among his 11 children, these two were different. One was mischievous and immature. The other wise, beyond her years, and hard to read. The king knew that with this plague, everyone else had fled far away. The only ones who were truly worried about him were probably these two. He ordered them to leave immediately. Ozos cried out in frustration, "I don't want to go! I want to stay with Daddy!" Elsa quickly comforted him. "If we stay here, Father will only worry about us and won't be able to rest." The king, seeing how sensible she was, told her to take good care of her brother and to come back after the plague had passed. His face serious. "You are the future of the empire. Nothing must happen to you." Hearing her father's words, Elsa was surprised. She pressed her face against the window. "Daddy has to promise Elsa that he'll get better." The king slowly reached out his hand, and they shared a high five through the glass. "Daddy promises." After they left, the king coughed violently, a splash of blood appearing on his palm. It seemed he was much sicker than he let on. Led by Levi, the group was about to leave the palace. "How dare you? Do you worthless servants dare to stop me?" A haughty voice rang out. It was the Empire's second princess, Michelle. The mages at the gate had detected clear symptoms of the plague on her and insisted she stay in quarantine. But Michelle refused to believe she was sick and was trying to force her way out of the palace. The next second, she started coughing. Seeing this, Elsa thought to herself, still being so stubborn and uncooperative at a time like this. "You'll only harm yourself and others." She ignored the scene and was about to leave, but Michelle spotted her and pointed, shouting, "If you're going to stop anyone, you should stop that child of misfortune." She then summoned a large group of guards who surrounded Elsa and her companions. The second princess immediately turned on Elsa, calling her an omen of misfortune and grabbing her. Her rough actions angered her brother Osius, who snatched his sister back. Seeing the marks on Elsa's arm, Osius was furious. Neil, as the sole heir to the throne, Osius naturally held a position of power that even the second princess couldn't defy. Elsa was touched to see her brother standing up for her. In the end, the guards detained Michelle. For the first time since she was born, Elsa left the palace, only to be met with a horrifying sight. Commoners everywhere, sick and untreated. Seeing the empire her father had worked so hard to protect, now ravaged by plague, she felt nothing but sorrow, completely helpless. Just then, Blair decided to stay behind. He wanted to go to the magic library to research a cure for the plague. Elsa patted her chest and declared she would go too. Oyas, for once, acted sensibly, and also wanted to help. But the steward and Blair tried to stop him. But who could stop a prince's decision? So, the group went to the library, but when they opened the doors, they froze. The place had been turned into a temporary infirmary. They had assumed the mages would be protected by their magic barriers, but more and more of them were collapsing. They hadn't realized how terrible this plague was. They had to find a solution quickly. Just then, the Grand Mage Calais arrived with a healing team, directing them to take over for the infected mages. The group knew that if Kale found them, he would definitely send them back. Elsa's eyes lit up. "I've got it." A short while later, the group appeared disguised as a medical team, and with a bit of luck, they successfully slipped into the library. Everyone began searching through the books. Blair used his soul magic, making rows of books float in the air. Elsa watched, her eyes shining. Amazing! He can read so many books at once! She told Blair she wanted to do the same, to find information faster. Blair reached out his hand, pulled Elsa up, and made her float in the air. Soon they had gone through all the healing books without finding any clues. Suddenly, Elsa's eyes lit up. She spotted the corner of a book on the very top shelf. Blair casually used magic and the book flew into his hands. But he couldn't read the words inside. Elsa, being from another world, recognized the script immediately. She took the ancient text from Blair and began to read. It contained cultivation techniques, alchemy recipes, and even a method to convert magic into spiritual energy. Suddenly, she found a useful piece of information and turned to the others. If we could gather the herbs mentioned in the book, we could create a cure for this crisis. Just then, the sound of footsteps echoed from outside the door. Levy, the steward, tensed up. Someone's coming. The group decided to split up and search. Elsa was worried. Although they had found a clue, she didn't know how her father was doing. Meanwhile, the king was coughing violently, dragging his sick body to review official documents. A kingdom cannot be without its ruler, not even for a day. But he knew he couldn't last much longer like this. The promise he made to his daughter flashed in his mind. No matter how hard it was, he had to hold on. Half a day passed, and Elsa's group finally gathered all the ingredients. It was time to start making the cure. Elsa from another world took Blair's hand and asked him to transfer his magic into her pet, Fluffy. The book said that Fluffy had a hidden ability to convert magic into spiritual energy. Blair didn't hesitate. He instantly unleashed a large amount of magic into Fluffy. Elsa's eyes sparkled. It's spiritual energy. A pink energy swirled around her with a gentle wave of her hands. A large black cauldron flew into the air and began to spin. Levy was shocked. I never taught the princess magic. The process was reaching its final stage. Elsa shouted anxiously. It's not enough. I need more magic. It's a little more, but Blair's magic reserves were completely depleted. Just then, a large hand grasped his. Levi looked at Blair. Did you forget about me? A bolt of lightning struck the cauldron. Golden pills began to fall slowly from the sky. Elsa looked at the handful of pills, a brilliant smile on her face. Then she collapsed. Luckily, Levi caught her. Blair quickly cast a spell, only to discover that she had also been infected. Levi picked Elsa up, about to take her to a healing mage, but Elsa stopped him and swallowed one of the freshly made pills. A pained expression crossed her face, and she passed out. A short while later, she slowly woke up. Blair quickly used magic to check her condition and shouted with excitement, It worked! All of Her Highness's symptoms are gone. The group headed to the library, only to find that even the Grand Mage Kale had fallen ill. He was lying on a stretcher, crying and wailing that his end was near, leaving everyone speechless. Oyas ran over and stuffed a cure into his mouth. Soon, the red spots on his skin vanished, and all his symptoms disappeared. With Kale's help, Elsa quickly gathered all the mages. They channeled their magic into Fluffy, and soon they had produced enough cure for all the patients present to be healed. Elsa looked at the last remaining dose, wanting to send it to her father. She still needed to make more to save the city's people. Just then, a commotion erupted outside the library. A large crowd of commoners, having heard news of the cure, had gathered outside. Seeing the growing numbers, Elsa and her friends felt the pressure mount. Blair the mage quickly told the crowd that the medicine was nearly gone, and they needed to wait patiently while more was made. In the crowd, two old men exchanged a look and started to stir up trouble. They definitely have more medicine, they just want to sell it to us at a high price. Elsa stepped forward, indignant. We really only have this much left. It's for those in most urgent need. We'll make the next batch right away. Just then, the infected second princess, Michelle, appeared. What right do commoners have to this medicine? She snatched the cure from Elsa's hand. If there's medicine, I should be the one to take it first. Who cares about these commoners? Her words instantly enraged the crowd. These royals have medicine and won't give it to us. A riot began to break out. The crowd ignored the guards and started trying to grab the royal family members to exchange for the cure. The steward and Blair rushed forward, creating a magic barrier to block the entrance. The second princess was also nervous. these wretched peasants. She ordered the guards to drive them away, which only further agitated the crowd. A few people had already broken through the barrier. Her brother, Osus, shielded his sister. "I'll protect you, sister." Just as a hand was about to grab them, boom! A golden light descended from the sky, blasting several people away. A towering figure appeared in front of the siblings. It was the Grand Mage Kale. He unleashed a powerful wave of magic. "Warning, all of you, back off!" Elsa was surprised. Kale came to save us. The second princess, Michelle, seeing she had powerful backup, became even more arrogant. "That's right. That's how you should deal with these damn commoners." Kale snatched the cure from her hand. "Second princess, this medicine isn't for you." Michelle was furious. "Kale, you're just a mage. How dare you treat me this way?" Kyle was enraged. "According to imperial law, the Mage Corps has the right to enforce the law on any member of the royal family who harms the interests of the people. Your actions have caused public panic and put the citizens in grave danger. Do you admit your guilt? As the Grand Mage, I have the authority to expel you from the royal family." Finally, Michelle backed down. But the old man in the crowd continued to incite the people. "Don't fall for their act. These royals who treat our lives as nothing don't want to give us the medicine." His accomplice quickly chimed in. "That's right. Let's just take it." Kale's eyes blazed with murderous intent. "I'd like to see who dares. You say the royals treat your lives as nothing, but it was Princess Elsa who developed this cure for all of you." He then waved his right hand, releasing a golden magic that lifted the two old men into the air. "Everyone, take a good look. These two are medicine peddlers from the west side of the city. They aren't even sick. Why do you think they're trying to get the medicine?" The crowd finally realized they had been manipulated. These two were trying to hoard the medicine to profit from it. The two men were arrested by the guards. Elsa stepped forward to address the crowd. "If everyone gathers like this, it could cause the epidemic to spiral out of control. I promise all of you that in 3 days we will have enough medicine for everyone." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Can we trust the words of a child? Elsa clenched her fists. "The medicine will be delivered to every patient's home by the Imperial Mage Corps. Until then, not a single member of the royal family will touch it." Hale, seeing the little girl's resolve, stepped up to support her. He announced that he and the Mage Corps would help fulfill her promise. The other members of the royal family also united. "Please believe in us." Finally, the crowd was persuaded. Watching them leave, Elsa sedayed. It seemed her father would have to hold on for a few more days. The second princess even went to their father to complain. "Your daughter Elsa made a miracle cure, but she gave it to those commoners and swore that no royal would touch a single pill." A murderous glint flashed in the king's eyes. "And that's your reason for punishing her. You snuck out of the palace and caused such a huge scene. As sensible as a 5-year-old. He then ordered the second princess to be escorted back to her chambers. The king looked out beyond the palace, his thoughts drifting. Elsa not only took good care of her brother, but also developed a cure, and even considered the welfare of the city's people. She truly is remarkable. For the next 3 days, Elsa worked tirelessly making the cure, without sleep, and finally completed her task. The people of the capital cheered. "Long live the Empire! Long live the king!" Seeing this, Elsa smiled happily. Wonderful. Suddenly, the world spun and she collapsed. Levi the steward quickly caught her and was about to take her back to rest, but she thought of her sick family and insisted the medicine be sent to the palace immediately. Levi had no choice but to follow her orders. Just then, a servant rushed in. "This is terrible. The king's condition has worsened," Levi shouted. "Quickly, prepare the horses for the palace." Elsa silently prayed for her father. "Daddy, please wait for me. I'll be back to save you soon." The group rushed back to the palace, but the guards at the gate wouldn't let them in. Oyas yelled anxiously, "Get out of the way! I need to go save my father." Elsa also spoke up. "Please let us in to treat His Majesty." When the two children finally reached the bedchambers, their father was already unconscious. Elsa quickly administered the pill, but his body showed no reaction. Ozas threw himself onto the bed and began to cry. Elsa tightly held her father's hand, praying silently. Daddy, you must not give up. Slam. The two children whipped their heads around to see the Grand Duchess burst in. Oius, your father is sick. You might get infected. Come here. But Ozias just kept crying. I want to stay with father. Sister will find a way. The Grand Duchess's face darkened and she snapped. She has a way. She was only thinking of saving the commoners, completely ignoring her own father. Oius spread his arms to protect his sister. Without my sister, everyone, the commoners and father, would have died. She saved so many lives. She can save father, too. The Grand Duchess pulled Acis away, her expression venomous. Elsa is a child of misfortune. Those commoners weren't worth saving. And your sister Elsa. It's because she was so busy saving them that your father's life now hangs in the balance. Poor Oceus, losing your father at such a young age. But don't worry, I'll always be by your side to guide you. Elsa's veins bulged with anger. She ran toward the Duchess and smack-slapped her heart across the face. Liar. I never forgot about Daddy. I want to save the commoners and my father. The Duchess was stunned by the slap. Clutching her swollen cheek, she roared. You ill-mannered brat! How dare you curse and hit me? Seize this child of misfortune. Several guards then lunged toward the small, defenseless Elsa. They're pinning her to the ground. Her brother, seeing this, shouted, Let go of my sister! The wicked Duchess issued another command. Restrain the prince. The Duchess had planned to install Oius as her puppet king. She even boasted, Once Oius ascends the throne, it will be the day you are sacrificed. Ozias could only plead with his mother. Please let my sister go. The Grand Duchess's face was a mask of malice. Ozias, you're still young. Once I become the Queen Mother, I will plan everything for you. Elsa was furious. In your dreams, someone like you is not worthy of being our stepmother. This hit a nerve. The Duchess grabbed the little girl and raised her hand to strike. I will be the Queen Mother, and I'll chop off the head of anyone who stands in my way. Then you'll have to chop off my head, too. Hearing a familiar voice, Elsa froze. Boom! The guards and the Duchess were sent flying as the king, surrounded by a magical aura, floated in the air. Elsa and her brother rushed joyfully to their father. The little girl smiled happily. Daddy, you're finally awake. Your illness was more severe, so the medicine took longer to work. For the first time, the king smiled and gently patted her head. The Grand Duchess was stunned. Did the king hear everything I just said? She quickly turned to him and begged for mercy. Your Majesty, I was just so worried that I misspoke. A murderous glint flashed in the king's eyes. I'm not even dead yet, and you're already planning to be the Queen Mother? And you want to blame my children? Just then, a guard reported that a large crowd of commoners had gathered at the city gates, asking to see Princess Elsa. The king ordered the Grand Duchess to be taken to the city wall. He held Elsa in his arms and stood with his son on the ramparts. The commoners below cheered loudly. Thank you, Princess, for saving our lives! Elsa quickly waved her small hand. As long as you are all well, I am happy. She also advised them to avoid gathering in large groups to prevent another outbreak. The king, seeing her handle the situation so well, looked pleased. He then looked at the kneeling Duchess on the wall. Elsa saved the lives of the people, and you wanted to punish her. Who is the real criminal here? His amber eyes seemed to be spitting fire. Don't think I don't know what you were planning. You were just afraid I would die so you could become the Queen Mother and the most powerful woman in the empire. The Grand Duchess, tears in her eyes, continued to make excuses, but the king turned away. You have only ever treated Oius as a tool to gain power. You are not worthy of being their mother. In the end, the Grand Duchess was thrown into the dungeon for life. Ozias looked crestfallen. It's true, Mother's affection for me was all fake. She just used me as a tool. Elsa quietly comforted him. Just then, their father slowly walked over and pulled the two children into a tight hug, praising Elsa. It was the first time she had received her father's praise, and she was stunned. She decided to seize the opportunity. I want to learn magic to protect you, Daddy, and everyone in our country. But would the king agree to let her learn magic? She waited for a whole year and was never summoned by her father until Valentine's Day arrived. On this special day, boys were supposed to give girls chocolate. Princess Elsa received a gift from Blair, and her brother and the mage Kale had prepared a giant chocolate statue for her. What surprised her even more was that her father also came to her chambers, handing her a pink box. It was the first time the king had ever given anyone a gift. Inside, Elsa found not only chocolate, but also an acceptance letter to the Royal Magic Academy. She was confused. Daddy, did you agree to let me learn magic? But why does this letter say I can't go until I'm 9? Her father explained that 9 was the minimum age for enrollment, and that until then, she had to stay by his side and take care of her brother, Osus. Elsa took a piece of chocolate and offered it to her father, a look of pure contentment on her face. This is the best gift I've received today. 4 years later, Elsa had arrived. She was finally at the Royal Magic Academy. Hearing a voice call her name, she turned around to see that her father had personally come to see her off. Elsa flew into her father's arms. The Royal Academy is so magnificent. I'm completely stunned. The king then took her small hand, wanting to walk her into the school himself. Wait. Hand stopped him. Levi the steward stood at the gate. Your Majesty, with your esteemed status, your presence will cause a huge commotion. Besides, escorting Elsa to school is my duty, the king replied coldly. That won't be necessary. I'll take her today. Sparks flew between the two men, making Elsa roll her eyes. Why is just going to school turning into such a big deal? But the awkwardness ended there. A bell rang, and Elsa quickly waved to both of them. The opening ceremony is starting. I have to go. She left the two grown men standing there, dumbfounded. The Royal Magic Academy was founded by 3 empires. The students were all royals and nobles from various countries. The headmaster then invited the academy's top prodigy to give a speech, but the student was nowhere to be found, leaving Elsa puzzled. What kind of person is this senior? Unbeknownst to her, the prodigy Adrian was napping on a rooftop somewhere. He casually cleaned his ear, thinking how boring the opening ceremony was. Suddenly, a unique scent wafted over to him, piquing his interest. He looked toward the ceremony just as Elsa happened to look his way. Their eyes met while the teacher was still stressing about finding Adrian. The princess of the Grand Empire appeared, offering to speak in his place. Hello, everyone. I'm Celia. Next time, I will be the true number 1, and I will stand here rightfully. Her passionate speech caused a stir in the audience, filling Elsa with anticipation for the future. She valued her books more than her own life, but she was a complete novice when it came to magic. As she was carrying a stack of magic books back to her dorm, a senior student got into an argument with a classmate and accidentally knocked her books to the ground. The girl quickly turned and apologized. Elsa's eyes lit up. It was Celia, the senior who had just given the speech, but her companion pushed Elsa aside. How dare you bump into our Princess Celia, stomp! She stepped hard on one of the fallen magic books and pointed arrogantly. Get on your knees and apologize right now. Elsa ignored her and slowly knelt down to pick up her books. With a sharp tug, she pulled the book out from under the girl's foot, causing her to lose her balance and fall. Elsa then apologized, but with not a hint of remorse on her face. The girl, also from a prominent family, was furious. You dare to mess with me? I, Bella, will teach you a lesson today. Elsa was unfazed. You're the one who started it. Think I'm afraid of you? Bella gathered a powerful surge of magic and threw it at her. Cold smile touched Elsa's lips. She channeled a bit of spiritual energy into her palm and absorbed the incoming magic completely. The white-haired girl stared in disbelief. Voice cut through the tension. Blair, the mage, appeared. Fighting is forbidden at the Royal Academy. What are you doing? Elsa was stunned. What is Blair doing here? Bella immediately played the victim, claiming that Elsa had bumped into her and refused to apologize, then proudly announced her status as the daughter of a duke from the Grand Empire. Elsa couldn't help but applaud sarcastically at her performance. Blair stood protectively in front of her. Princess Elsa is not the person you describe. Bella couldn't take it anymore. So you two know each other? I bet you're a fake instructor. Just then, Celia spoke up. That's enough. Be quiet. She then curtsied slightly to Blair. I've heard that the Academy recruited a 13-year-old genius instructor this year. I assume that must be you. She then shot a sharp look at Bella. Apologize. In the end, she submitted to the princess's authority, but she was not resigned. She vowed to get her revenge on Elsa. Unbeknownst to them, the whole scene had been witnessed by Adrian from a nearby window. He had been hoping for a good show, but the girl who could absorb magic had certainly caught his interest. Later, Elsa asked Blair how he had become an instructor here. He beamed. Because of you, of course. I'm your guardian knight, after all. After saying a quick goodbye to Blair outside the girls' dormitory, she walked to her room alone. The empty hallway had an eerie feeling. She gently turned the doorknob. The moment the door opened, Elsa's eyes widened in terror as a black shadow with glowing red eyes lunged at her. It was a misleading scene. A dark figure lunged at the girl, making her scream. A flash of lightning outside made the atmosphere even spookier. But the next moment, her brother Ozos popped out. Princess Elsa rolled her eyes. What are you doing here? You scared me to death. Oyus explained that he couldn't miss his sister's first day of school. Elsa sighed. Although her brother had snuck in, she was still touched. Osseous took her hand, sensing her mood change. Did someone bully you? Elsa was exasperated. You turned my dorm room into this, and you're asking me that? She started to unpack. I really love Osseous's luxury room, but the Academy has rules. I might get kicked out tomorrow. To comfort his sister, Osseous promised to change everything back to normal, which was a huge relief for her, but she still felt bad about his kind gesture and picked up one of his dolls to keep. Oyus was so moved he shed a tear. Just then, the candlestick sprite on the mantelpiece lit up, signaling it was time for class. Elsa rushed out the door. A hand snapped its fingers, and as Elsa was running, she was suddenly enveloped in a golden light. Before she knew what was happening, she was lifted high into the air and then dropped just as quickly. A hand slammed her against the wall. A dark-haired man stood before her. It was the prodigy, Adrian. He started hitting on her, leaving Elsa completely confused. Who is this guy? She struggled to get away, but Adrian grabbed her hand. Don't worry, I just want to confirm something. He leaned in close to her ear and sniffed. Just as I thought, the scent I smelled at the opening ceremony was you. He finally let go. You can absorb magic, can't you? Teach me how. Elsa was shocked. How does he know? Then it hit her. He must have seen her confrontation with Bella earlier. Over the years, although Elsa had no magic, she had been studying the cultivation manual from her past life, which allowed her to convert magic. Elsa waved her hand dismissively. My friend, your imagination is a bit too wild. Seeing that she wouldn't admit it, Adrian raised his arm and gathered a powerful surge of magic. Elsa's eyes widened. The magic swirling around his hand is so strong. As the dark blue energy was about to hit her, she had no choice but to secretly channel her spiritual energy and absorb the attack completely. But her secret was out. Just then, Elsa's body started to fizzle and fade, disappearing into thin air. Adrian stared at his hand in disbelief. She had managed to escape. He had never seen magic like that before, which only made him more curious about Elsa. Elsa burst into the classroom, but she was still late. Smack! The teacher slammed his hand on the desk. Late on the first day of class. In my grand empire, you would have been expelled already. You people from the Aurelian Empire are always so arrogant, especially you. Elsa finally understood. Although the Magic Academy was founded by 3 nations, there were still factions within the school. This teacher's dislike for her was due to this rivalry. He had her use a crystal to test her magic level, but her aptitude was so high that the crystal couldn't handle it and shattered. This was something only the greatest mages could achieve. Yet the instructor gave her the lowest possible rank, bronze. Her rival, Bella, started to mock her. How pathetic. A bronze-level mage. You can't even take elective classes at the academy. Princess Elsa realized that this teacher and Bella were deliberately targeting her. The teacher then announced the task for the freshman showcase, the most important tradition at the academy. It had to be performed by a team of 2, and the winning team would receive the academy's highest honor. The teacher was fired up. You all must win first place for me. Seeing how important this competition was to the teacher, Elsa immediately proposed that if she won first place, he would have to give her a chance to be reevaluated. The teacher waved his hand dismissively. While you were gone, everyone already drew lots for their partners. He then tossed her the last slip of paper. The other students started whispering, leaving Elsa completely confused. Who could it be? She opened the paper. The name written on it was Adrian, the top student in their year, who also had a rather poor reputation. Just then, Adrian appeared at the doorway. Elsa looked up and saw it was him. Adrian's strangely colored eyes gave him an even more devilish charm. It's him again. The students whispered among themselves. Isn't that Adrian? Elsa was shocked. This guy is Adrian. He shot a cold glare that made the entire class tremble. Then, with a slight chuckle, he turned and left the classroom. This gave Elsa a huge headache. How could she be so unlucky to be paired with him? But her troubles didn't end there. The teacher demanded she pay for the broken magic crystal in full. She went to the equipment management office and bowed to the teacher there. To her surprise, the teacher wasn't angry about the broken equipment. She even smiled kindly. You don't have to pay for it. Someone already has. Elsa was baffled. Who would help me? Just then, a blue-haired girl with glasses walked in carrying 4 crystal balls, making both the teacher and the princess roll their eyes. Why buy so many crystals? The girl seemed a bit ditzy. She must be incredibly wealthy. She then introduced herself as Angela from the Douglas family. She wanted to thank Elsa for saving her life during the plague. From then on, Elsa had a new friend. When Angela learned that her partner was Adrian, she couldn't help but worry for her. It turned out that Adrian was a commoner from the slums. He had been accepted into the academy due to his exceptional magic talent from a young age, which led to him being bullied by the nobles, but he had ruthlessly dealt with them all. His intimidating demeanor was like that of a gangster. This made Elsa even more troubled. If Adrian hated nobles, would he refuse to work with her because of her status? That night, Elsa was worrying on her balcony when a surge of dark blue magic quietly appeared. Elsa whipped her head around as a huge teleportation circle formed, and a large foot stepped out of it. Her father had arrived. Princess Elsa was stunned. Why is father here all of a sudden? The king made up an excuse about being in the area for official business, but Elsa knew better. Teleportation magic only takes you to the person you are thinking of. The little girl was ecstatic. Daddy missed me and came to see me. Her father gently took her hand. Why are you not asleep so late out here on the terrace? Are you in some kind of trouble? Elsa's spirits were low. What do you do if you have to work with someone who is difficult to communicate with? Her father, as cool as ever, replied, If your paths differ, you do not walk together. Suddenly, an idea struck Elsa. The opposite must also be true. If you have a common goal, you can work together. She looked at her father with admiration. Thank you, Daddy. I know what to do now. The next day, Elsa dressed up like a delinquent and waited for the school's top troublemaker, Adrian, to appear. Finally, he walked over, yawning. Stop right there, a voice called out. Adrian turned around to see Elsa, dressed like a punk and looked completely baffled. Who is this? Elsa leapt down from a tree. You dragged me into an alley just the other day. Forgotten so soon. Adrian was still confused. Are these two really the same person? He sniffed her, and sure enough, it was the same familiar scent. Elsa introduced herself. I may be a princess, but in reality, I've been running with the Empire's underworld for years. You're the first person who's ever been so rough with me. From now on, you're with me, Boss Elsa. Adrian played along. I had no idea you were so formidable. Elsa, thinking her plan had worked, was overjoyed. Getting him to participate in the showcase would be a piece of cake. Adrian threw an arm around her shoulder. then allow this humble subordinate to address you as the Queen of Darkness. The plan had succeeded, but why did she have a bad feeling about this? Adrian held back his laughter, inwardly delighted. He then offered to help her take over the school, which made Elsa break out in a cold sweat. She quickly waved her hands. That's no fun. She then tried to steer the conversation back to the freshman showcase. Hearing that she wanted to dominate the freshman showcase, Adrian was stunned. He finally understood that this whole act was just for a school performance. An idea then popped into his head. Just then, Adrian, get your butt out here. A voice interrupted their act. 3 delinquents appeared looking for a fight. Well, look what we have here. You've even got yourself a little punk follower. Birds of a feather really do flock together. These guys were clearly looking for trouble. Adrian scoffed. I've taught you a lesson so many times, and you still dare to show your face. The green-haired guy pointed a finger. I was just careless last time. There's no way I could lose to a punk like you. He then spread his arms. If you can't even beat my guys, it proves you were cheating before. This time, you're dead. Elsa was caught in a difficult position. Although the green-haired guy wasn't strong, the 2 he brought with him were Hyla mages. There was no way Adrian could beat them. Seeing her hesitation, the green-haired guy taunted. What's wrong, little girl? Scared. He then reached a sleazy hand toward Elsa. Stop! Hand grabbed his arm. Adrian was furious. If you have a problem, take it up with me. You touch her, and I'll break you. He casually tossed the guy 100 meters away, his eyes blazing with murderous intent. If you don't want a beating, take your friends and get lost. The green-haired guy was enraged and signaled his 2 friends to attack. The 2 gathered a powerful surge of magic and charged at them. Adrian also unleashed a massive amount of energy, not forgetting to tell Elsa to hide. A blue and a green energy wave collided violently. The next second, Adrian landed a solid punch on one guy's face and then easily took care of the other. Just as he turned around, the dark-haired man launched a sneak attack from behind. Elsa couldn't stand it anymore. You 2 are highly mages and you're ganging up on one student with a sneak attack. Have you no shame? She leaped in front of Adrian and unleashed her unique spiritual energy, completely absorbing the incoming magic. The dark-haired man was stunned. What? My attack just vanished? Adrian, seeing her use this move again, felt his curiosity grow even stronger. They stood back to back and launched a fierce counterattack. Amidst the dust, the 2 of them transformed into demons, unleashing a brutal assault on the 3. The 2 Hyla mages fled, screaming in agony, leaving the green-haired guy frozen in fear. Seeing their wicked smiles, he was so terrified he wet himself. Afterward, Elsa cornered Adrian against a wall. I just saved your life. Shouldn't you repay me? She hadn't forgotten about the freshman showcase. Adrian patted her head. All right, aren't you tired of acting? Let's drop it. He pulled off her hair tie, and her long, pink hair cascaded down. You look much better like this. Elsa finally realized he had seen through her act all along. In exchange for her teaching him how to absorb magic, Adrian agreed to be her partner. But Elsa's troubles were far from over. She had to choose a performance that was eye-catching and original, a play, a comedy routine. Her brain was about to explode, and she still had no good ideas. Suddenly, an image of her dancing with her father flashed in her mind. After much thought, she decided on dancing. Just then, Adrian appeared. What are you spacing out for? Princess Elsa snapped. Who's spacing out? I was thinking about what to perform. Elsa was overjoyed. You're that confident? But the rehearsal that followed left her completely speechless. Not only was Adrian as stiff as a board, but he also stepped on her foot. Adrian rolled his eyes as the atmosphere turned incredibly awkward. Soon she exploded in frustration. With skills like these, how could you agree so readily? A smile. Elsa was baffled by his confidence, despite his terrible skills. She had no choice but to patiently teach him, watching her serious expression. A ripple went through Adrian's calm heart. This time, Elsa stepped on his foot. She rolled her eyes. What are you spacing out for? Why aren't you moving? Adrian showed no remorse. My bad, I didn't hear you. Elsa gave a fake smile, but inside she was fuming. I've taught him so much, and he's still daydreaming. This is infuriating. Just then, a voice interrupted their rehearsal. A red-haired man appeared. With such a great dance partner, why aren't you taking this seriously? Adrian was not one to back down. Who are you? What's it to you? The red-haired man walked over and introduced himself. I'm one of Elsa's classmates. My name is Giles. He then took Elsa's hand and started to waltz with her. Elsa's eyes widened. Giles's dance steps are so full of life, so amazing. Before she knew it, she was following his rhythm. After the dance, Adrian was not pleased. He pulled Elsa close, declaring his ownership. She's my dance partner. Sparks flew between the two men as their gazes collided, but the next second, Giles poked him in the chest. How about I teach you a few moves, buddy? Adrian grabbed his bow tie. Sure, I'd love to see how hard it can be. And then the two of them started waltzing together. Both were completely lost in the dance, leaving Elsa standing alone, utterly bewildered. Watching their intimate dance, Elsa covered her eyes. What am I seeing? I can't look. Soon, Adrian had mastered the dance. They practiced late into the night until they collapsed on the floor, gasping for breath. They were about to call it a day when her stomach rumbled. Adrian took her hand, wanting to take her somewhere nice. The night market was bustling with people. The king, concerned for his daughter's safety, was inspecting the area around the school. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed. He thought he saw something. The princess was about to sneak out for some street food, and the school's top troublemaker thought she'd never do something so out of character. The next second, she was already on top of the wall, urging him to hurry up. In her past life, she was a powerful cultivator, used to a life of adventure. In this life, she was so closely watched by her father and the steward that this was her first chance to have some fun. The two of them walked through the bustling night market, Elsa's eyes sparkling with excitement. All the new and interesting things captivated her, and she completely forgot about Adrian behind her. Adrian knew this place was full of shady characters and couldn't let her get lost. He grabbed her arm. Have fun, but don't leave my sight. If you get lost, I'm not responsible. All kinds of food, all kinds of performances. It was a feast for the senses. She thought to herself, I'm going to have the time of my life tonight, and Dad must never find out. Suddenly, her jaw dropped. Speak of the devil. Her father was right there. His face was grim. Why is my daughter here? And who is this punk with her? He must have tricked her. The king grabbed Elsa, his sharp gaze fixed on Adrian. He fired off a series of questions. Who are you? What is your relationship with my daughter? What is your purpose here? Adrian politely bowed and shifted the blame to Elsa. The accusation hit Elsa like a ton of bricks, leaving her dizzy. She quickly explained to her father how they ended up here. Her father's eyes were cold. Nonsense. What's so great about a place like this? The one place that was different from the palace was about to be ruined. Her father was about to drag Elsa back to the palace when Adrian stopped him. She's hungry and tired right now. It would take half an hour to walk out of here. He pointed to a tavern in the distance. Why don't you let me show you what commoners' food is like? The tavern was rowdy with everyone chugging beer. When Adrian led them in, the owner greeted him warmly. The owner, seeing their lavish clothes, whispered to Adrian, but he still ordered their usual fare. A servant immediately laid out a tablecloth, setting up a proper dining experience for the king. Elsa broke into a cold sweat. Aren't we here to eat commoners' food? Just then, a hand snatched the tablecloth, bundling up all the fancy tableware. Adrian served a large mug of beer. We don't have so many rules here. Eat big, drink big. Her father stared at the beer. This dark stuff is drinkable. Elsa started to egg him on. Come on, Daddy. You can hold your liquor. The king swallowed and picked up the mug, about to take a sip. Adrian suddenly pushed the bottom of the mug. Your Majesty, you have to chug it like this for it to be good. Elsa was stunned by his boldness. This idiot has some nerve. Thud, the king slammed the mug down, his face grim. The next second, he was completely lost in the deliciousness of the beer. For the first time, he experienced the joy of being a commoner. And this kid, he speaks his mind in front of me. He has potential. He stood up and declared righteously, This place will not be renovated, but the security is indeed poor. I'll have to come inspect it more often. Elsa smiled. It seemed her father had taken a liking to this place. After saying goodbye to her father, Adrian walked her to the girls' dormitory. But on her way back to the dorm, she felt a pain in her ankle. She knelt down and saw that her heel was bleeding. "Says Elsa?" a voice called out, making her jump. It was her guardian knight, Blair. Adrian was stunned. Where did this other man come from? From the top of the wall, he saw Blair carrying her toward the dorm. Adrian couldn't believe it. What? How could it be him? The boy became a teacher at 13, the youngest genius in the academy's history. But his first day of class was not going smoothly. He had to teach the students 2 basic spells. With a casual wave, he used his mind to control magic and create an illusion of a parrot. The students began to practice. Bella gathered a huge amount of magic and managed to conjure a goofy-looking chicken. Meanwhile, Princess Elsa was surrounded by a golden glow, and a radiant golden parrot materialized instantly. The difference between them was obvious. Next, Bella practiced the growth spell, using all her strength to sprout a pathetic-looking weed. Elsa, on the other hand, silently chanted the incantation. A golden magic full of life force surged, and vibrant flowers bloomed from the ground. She earned praise from their teacher Blair, and the other students crowded around her, saying she was even more amazing than Bella, who had a platinum-level aptitude. Bella gritted her teeth in frustration. That wretched Elsa. How dare she steal my spotlight? After class, as Blair and Elsa were discussing magic, a voice interrupted them. "Giles, with your silver-level aptitude, what right do you have to be Celia's partner?" Bella was her usual arrogant self. "Not only am I from the same country as Celia, but we also have the same aptitude. If you know what's good for you, you'll give your spot to me." Bella was determined to seize this opportunity to get on the princess's good side. But Giles seriously refused her. This made Bella furious. She pointed a finger. "You're a nobody. Don't drag Celia down with you." She immediately gathered a surge of her magic. "If you're injured, the partner has to be replaced. Take this." Giles was stunned. He was about to be hit. "Stop!" A voice called out, and a swarm of glowing butterflies flew toward Bella, knocking her to the ground. Seeing Elsa appear, Bella became even more enraged. "It's you again." Giles was also frozen, surprised that Elsa would help him. The 2 girls were ready to fight. Luckily, Blair stepped in to stop them. Violence is not the solution. "Since you are both mages, let's settle this like mages." They were both confused. Blair then set the rules. The loser must obey the winner. Bella had a sinister look on her face. "You embarrassed me in class earlier. This time, I'll get my revenge." Blair took them to the academy's training ground. The first one to navigate the obstacle course using magic would be the winner. Whoosh! A pair of wings sprouted from Bella's back. She thought to herself confidently, "You're definitely going to lose this time." She took to the air, flying toward the rings on the course. Blair was surprised. "So fast! She's already mastered flight!" Elsa was not to be outdone. She gathered a ball of golden magic in her hands, and a pair of even larger, stronger wings appeared on her back. With a whoosh, she chased after Bella, quickly overtaking her. Bella gritted her teeth. "No, if this keeps up, I'm going to lose." A ball of magic appeared in her hand, and she launched an attack at Elsa in front of her. A cold smile played on Elsa's lips. She dodged the attack with a swift movement, causing Bella to miss completely. Bang! She crashed into a large tree, a big lump forming on her head. And so, Elsa won. But before she could celebrate, she felt a pang of panic. "No, I'm out of magic!" Blair shouted in concern. "Your Highness, be careful." He pushed off the ground and leapt into the air, catching her in his arms. In the end, Elsa was victorious. Giles then invited her to watch their rehearsal. Elsa's eyes lit up with excitement. "Okay, I'll go." When she saw Giles and Celia's dance, she was captivated by their graceful movements. But this also put immense pressure on her. It seemed she would have to find a different approach for the showcase. A 3-year-old child crashed his cart into a carriage and was brutally beaten by a nobleman. The boy cried out for mercy, but the Duke showed no pity and ordered his men to break his legs. "Stop right there!" A sharp voice made the Duke turn around. Adrian appeared with a few small children. The boy cried out in pain. "Big brother, help me!" The Duke sneered. "Perfect. This brat damaged my carriage. You can pay for it." His friends were indignant. "It was you who hit him!" The Duke became angry and was about to teach them all a lesson. He signaled his guards. "How dare a commoner talk back to me? Seize him!" Several guards advanced with sinister smiles. Adrian unleashed a powerful wave of magic and charged forward with incredible speed. In a flash, the guards were all incapacitated. Just a moment earlier, Elsa had seen Giles and Celia's dance and felt it would be hard to surpass. She found Adrian, and they decided to take a different approach. They went to the market to buy some props. But just then, a group of children found Adrian. He excused himself from Elsa and hurried off, leaving her alone. After she bought all the props, she happened to witness the scene before her and was shocked. Why is Adrian in a conflict with a nobleman? Being the child pinned to the ground, she guessed what had happened. The Duke grabbed the boy and lifted him into the air. "Insolence! Do you know who I am?" Seeing the child struggling in pain, Adrian's anger exploded. A mysterious dark blue energy emanated from his body, and a pair of cat ears sprouted from his head. "Let him go." The Duke was stunned. "You're one of the beastkin." Adrian radiated a chilling coldness. "I'll say it one last time. Let him go." Unexpectedly, the Duke pulled out a knife and held it to the child's neck. "If you come any closer, I'll snap his neck." The monstrous aura around Adrian made him even more terrifying. "You dare?" Before he finished speaking, his hand had already touched the Duke, instantly freezing him solid. The Duke's arrogance was gone. Adrian grabbed him by the neck. "If you harm him, I'll take your life. I have nothing to lose, unlike you. You'd better think carefully about whether you want to live." The Duke was terrified to his core. This beastkin was serious about killing him. He quickly said he would drop the matter, and only then did Adrian release him. He rushed to the child's side to check his injuries. The boy cried, "I can't move my leg!" Adrian picked up the boy and was about to leave, but the onlookers started whispering. "How scary. I heard the beastkin are ruthless killers." Elsa, who had been in the crowd the whole time, couldn't help but step forward and take Adrian's hand. "Let's get the child out of here first." Seeing that the crowd wasn't making way, Elsa shouted angrily, "Move!" Proud then parted to let them through. Soon, they arrived at an orphanage. Elsa was surprised. "Is this where these children live?" Back in a room, Adrian put down the boy and treated his injured ankle. Elsa saw a rare gentleness in him and felt a strong bond between them. It turned out that Adrian had been separated from his clan as a child and was raised by the orphanage's director. Everyone here knew he was a beastkin, but no one ostracized him. Seeing the boy had fallen asleep, the two of them went out to the balcony. Adrian knew that now that Elsa knew his identity, she might distance herself from him. Every time his cat ears appeared, his body temperature would drop, and anyone who touched him would be instantly frozen. Long ago, a war had broken out between humans and beastkin. The beastkin were ultimately defeated, but because they could naturally wield the power of beasts, humans feared them. But Elsa showed no fear. The beastkin lived hidden among the common people and had never done anything wrong. She even comforted Adrian. "We're friends now. Even if you have that power, you wouldn't use it to hurt me." Adrian's unease finally subsided. He had been worried that Elsa would be afraid of him because of his identity, but he never expected her to think this way. Just then, the orphanage door opened. The two of them turned to see a few small children. "Big brother Adrian, can you stay tonight?" Adrian knew how important the freshman showcase was to Elsa, so he refused the children, wanting to go back and practice. But Elsa knew that Adrian was worried about the injured child. She let go of his hand and said, "We can practice later. I'll go back and prepare the costumes and props first. We can practice tomorrow." She then said goodbye to Adrian and the children and returned to the school alone, busying herself with preparations. But after a whole night, she had only managed to embroider a turkey. Something felt missing. Suddenly, an idea struck her. With a flurry of activity, the phoenix she had intended to embroider turned into an adult turkey. This daunting task overwhelmed her. After calming down, she cheered herself on. You can do it, Elsa," and continued to embroider the phoenix with renewed vigor. Just then, she accidentally pricked her finger, and the pain made her cry. Unexpectedly, Adrian appeared. Seeing her hands wrapped in bandages, he quickly used magic to heal her. Adrian then asked her, "You came back last night, but all you've embroidered is a chicken." Elsa was furious. "It's not a chicken, it's a phoenix." But no matter how she explained it, she couldn't describe what a phoenix looked like. Adrian placed a hand on her head and told her to picture a phoenix in her mind. An image of a divine phoenix instantly appeared in Adrian's mind. Soon, Adrian had embroidered a fiery phoenix. Elsa thought of the children at the orphanage. His sewing skills are so good. Did he learn by mending clothes for the children? With Adrian's sewing magic, the performance costumes were quickly finished. They soon began rehearsing a new routine. After all their hard work every day, the day of the freshman showcase finally arrived. Elsa's father also came to watch. The Duke of the Grand Empire found his daughter, Bella, and was embarrassed by her appearance. Bella was fuming. "You think I wanted this? It's all because of that little witch, Elsa. But as long as she doesn't get first place, she'll be expelled." A wicked smile spread across the Duke's face, as if he was plotting something. "She's paired with Adrian. We can't let them win first place." She begged her father to help her, no matter what it took. Suddenly, her father's eyes narrowed. That name Adrian sounds familiar. He remembered the scene at the market, where Adrian had taught him a lesson. A sinister look crossed his face. "Not only can I get rid of Elsa, but I can also make that insolent boy pay the price." Meanwhile, the freshman showcase had officially begun, but Elsa's father had not yet returned. Osseous was anxious and urged Kale to go find the king. Kale wasn't concerned. The Royal Magic Academy's freshman showcase was, on the surface, an invitation for parents to watch. But in reality, it was an opportunity for the nobles of various countries to network. Osseous didn't believe it. The king would definitely come. This was a very important performance for his sister Elsa. Elsa also noticed that her father wasn't there and looked disappointed. "Why isn't Daddy here yet?" Meanwhile, the three kings were discussing state affairs. Ozell was distracted, unable to focus on their conversation. He kept checking the time. His daughter's performance was about to start. The fact that her father hadn't shown up made Elsa even more disheartened. It was almost her turn to perform. Is Daddy really not going to make it? Soon, it was Giles and Celia's turn. With a wave of her hand, Celia transformed the venue into a winter wonderland. Their magnificent ice waltz earned a round of applause from the audience. This undoubtedly added to Elsa's pressure. Seeing that her father still hadn't appeared, her heart began to race. Just then, Adrian stepped forward to comfort her. "Why the long face?" he then teased her. "You're the fearless queen of darkness, boss. Elsa, if you mess up, how can you face all the hard work we've put in?" Elsa's confidence was instantly boosted, and she started to psych herself up. Although she had overcome her nerves, she still wished her father could see her perform. It was finally their turn. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps approached, and bang, the doors opened. It was her father. He came over and apologized to Elsa, patting her head for encouragement. Elsa was now full of confidence, wanting to give him a big surprise. Elsa and Adrian then walked onto the stage, and with a swoosh, threw off their robes. The Duke watched them with a malicious smile. Princess Elsa and Adrian, dressed in traditional attire from another world, drew cheers from the audience as they began a sword dance. This otherworldly dance stunned everyone present, and the stage was filled with an ethereal atmosphere. Her father's eyes lit up. The pattern on Elsa's clothes was a phoenix. It reminded the king of her mother. She looked exactly as her mother had during her performance years ago. Just then, the Duke in the audience looked calm. It was time for him to act. He signaled a subordinate, and a shady man took out a glass bottle. With a pop, he opened the stopper, and a strong smell filled the air. Adrian also noticed something was wrong. This is a potion that forces beastkin to reveal their true form. A pair of cat ears instantly sprouted from his head. This must be a deliberate setup. Elsa also saw what was happening, and was confused. Why did Adrian suddenly transform? If this continues, his identity will be exposed. At the moment, their two swords clashed. Elsa whispered, "Follow my lead." She then threw a ball of golden magic, and a divine fire phoenix flew out. The audience's attention was captivated by this magical scene. Adrian finally understood. She was trying to create a diversion. Not to be outdone, he gathered a surge of dark blue magic, and a giant blue dragon soared into the air, completely capturing the audience's attention. Blair, who had been watching Elsa closely, noticed her unusual expression in Adrian's transformation. Even her father was stunned. Elsa quickly asked what was wrong, and learned that someone had deliberately set them up. Just then, the Duke smiled sinisterly and pointed. Teskin. Adrian, recognizing him, understood that the Duke was behind all this. As a group of people lunged at them, protective barrier descended from the sky, sending the attackers flying. Blair unleashed a powerful spell standing in front of them. As the princess's guardian knight, you will not lay a single finger on her. The Duke was furious. You little brat, how dare you interfere? Seize him too. But a voice made him freeze. I think you're the one interfering. Her father appeared before them, his face cold. The Duke quickly bowed. I received a report that a beastkin had infiltrated the school and came to apprehend him. I advise you to take this child of misfortune with you as well. But he wasn't done. He brought up a long-forgotten piece of history. Powerful beastkin and a highly skilled mage once fought over a child of misfortune, causing devastation across the continent. It was widely known that the child of misfortune was the cause of the disaster. After the Duke's instigation, the students in the audience became agitated. Bella chimed in. That's right. Kick the child of misfortune and the beastkin out of the school. Oyus was furious. Your words have no basis. Just then, the kings of Gran and Kreka walked in. Ozel, you're not trying to protect your daughter, are you? Duke Fedra is right. These two menaces cannot remain at the academy. He then pointed an accusing finger. The Royal Magic Academy is home to the future leaders of our three nations. What are your intentions? Her father's face was grim, and he couldn't refute their claims. Duke Fedra became even more arrogant. This could be a trap set by the Aurelian Empire for our two nations. The King of Gran had always wanted to ally with the Kisha Empire to conquer the Aurelian Empire, but never had a good reason. This crusade against the child of misfortune and the beastkin was the perfect opportunity. Adrian knew these two were just trying to slander them. He had to find the revealing potion. He sniffed the pungent smell in the air and instantly located the potion on the man's belt. He rushed toward him, grabbed him by the neck, and took the potion from his waist. So it was you. You went to a lot of trouble for someone like me. Blair was shocked. This potion is a banned substance. Some of the weaker female students had already started to faint. This banned substance was harmful to ordinary people. Blair quickly took the potion from Adrian and sealed it with magic. He angrily questioned the Duke. How dare you use a banned substance in a public place like this? Elsa pointed a small, trembling finger, her voice full of anger. Now everyone can see who the real malicious ones are, right? The King of Gran sneered. A mere child of misfortune dares to be so insolent. Ozel, is this how you raise your daughter? But her father patted Elsa's head. Yes, to be able to bravely talk back when accused by the king of another nation makes me proud. You call her a child of misfortune, but has she brought any disaster all these years? The King of Gran asked the Duke to answer, but he stammered and couldn't say a word. Ozel continued. My daughter saved the people of another nation at a young age. She not only saved me, but also the people of the Aurelian Empire. She is not a child of misfortune. She is the lucky star of our empire. The King of Gran's face darkened. So, you're going to protect your daughter? The atmosphere became tense, but her father was not one to be trifled with. With a snap of his fingers, the Aurelian Empire's elite mages appeared. The tension between the two sides was palpable, and a battle was about to break out. The King of Gran, seeing that he had no advantage, turned to persuade the King of KCA. To his surprise, the King of Kisha smiled warmly. We came to watch a performance. Why are we fighting? This sudden change in tone made both sides roll their eyes. He then grabbed both kings' arms and played the peacemaker. The King of Gran, seeing that his plan had failed, left with his people. his face dark. But because of this interruption, Elsa ultimately did not win first place in the showcase. The matter of her magic evaluation once again filled her with worry. This young boy, who was out shopping to comfort his sister, bumped into a beggar woman who was cold and hungry. The boy Asas was shocked. Under my father's rule, there are still people who can't afford to eat. He immediately called for the mage Kale to help. Taking the beggar to a 5-star hotel and treating her to a feast, the woman ate like he hadn't seen food in years, stacking up 108 empty plates. She thanked Osius profusely, but seeing the boy's worried expression, the beggar became curious and asked what was troubling him. Osius explained that his sister was upset because she didn't win first place in the Magic Academy's showcase. The beggar's eyes lit up to cheer her up. Think about a happy memory you shared. You might find the perfect gift in that memory. Osius jumped up, his face full of joy. I have an idea. Thank you. Meanwhile, Elsa was sitting in the garden, still worrying about her magic evaluation, when a golden, glowing butterfly flew by. A strange sense of familiarity washed over her. As the butterfly was about to fly away, Elsa quickly got up and chased after it. The butterfly landed on a hand. It was her brother, Oasis. He took his sister's hand. I felt you were unhappy, so I brought something fun for you. He took out a white handkerchief and tossed it into the air. Elsa was surprised. It was the trick handkerchief she had given Osias when they were little. Countless glowing butterflies fluttered down, and Elsa forgot all her worries. Seeing his sister happy, Osias snapped his fingers again, and the butterflies transformed into bubbles, each showing a memory from their childhood. Elsa was deeply moved. She told Osius that her aptitude evaluation had been unfairly judged by her teacher, and if she couldn't get it reevaluated, she would be expelled. Osius was shocked and wondered how he could help his sister. Just then, a voice interrupted them. The beggar from before appeared in a tree. The mage Kale suddenly appeared. Why are you following us? The beggar ignored him and came to Osius. Little one, I owe you a favor. I'll take care of the matter that's troubling you. The beggar knew her words weren't very convincing. A golden light surrounded her and she transformed into a stunningly beautiful woman. Kale's jaw dropped. Headmaster Monica is back. Elsa and Osius also rolled their eyes. This young woman is the headmaster? Although she looked young, she was an incredibly talented mage. Monica could see Elsa's potential at a glance and decided to reevaluate her herself. Elsa quickly thanked her. Meanwhile, the bald teacher and Bella were gloating over Elsa's failure to win first place. Bella urged the teacher to expel her as soon as possible. Just then, the candlestick sprite flared up, announcing, Headmaster Monica has returned. Please proceed to the celestial altar immediately. She will personally reevaluate Elsa's aptitude tonight. The two of them were stunned by the sudden news. What? By then, Elsa and her group were already on their way to the celestial altar. A voice called her name, and she turned to see Blair and Adrian running toward her. She quickly explained that Headmaster Monica was going to re-evaluate her. Adrian thought to himself, Monica, speak of the devil. I knew that voice sounded familiar. It's little Adrian. She went over and affectionately ruffled Adrian's hair, much to his annoyance. It turned out that Adrian was Monica's student. Led by Monica, they finally arrived at the celestial altar. This is a magic staff bound by chains, a relic from another world. The headmaster plans to use it to test the princess's magic. This staff was left behind by the greatest mage of all time, and for years no one has been able to use it. If Princess Elsa can resonate with the staff, it means she has the same constitution as the great mage. Elsa walked forward. The moment she touched the staff, a powerful force erupted. Elsa was shocked. Isn't this spiritual energy? She looked around and found herself in a small, separate world. A handsome man appeared and took her hands. My name is Augustin. I am a cultivator who crossed over from the cultivation world. Elsa looked up at him. You are the legendary Great Mage. And you're a transmigrator from the cultivation world. Just like me. Augustin confirmed her suspicions, but he was now only a remnant of a soul. A piece of his soul was also in the cultivation manual she possessed. He had noticed her ever since she obtained the book. But Augustine told her something even more grim. Those who cross over are not accepted by the laws of this world. and must face a life or death trial. Elsa's eyes widened in shock. What kind of crisis would she have to face? Augustine gave her the Star Soul Staff, hoping it would help her survive the trial. He gently patted her head. All right, child. It's time for you to go back. A dazzling light shone, so bright she couldn't open her eyes. When she opened them again, she was back at the academy, her body and the staff floating in midair. Suddenly, the staff shattered, and countless golden lights entered Elsa's body. She heard Augustine's voice again. Child, the Star Soul Staff has chosen you as its master. It will be with you for life. This is the Star Soul Ring. When you need the staff's power, it will help you summon it. The light finally dimmed, and Augustine's voice faded. Headmaster Monica joyfully congratulated her. Not only did the staff resonate with you, but it also chose you as its master. The teacher and Bella in the audience gritted their teeth in frustration. What kind of dumb luck is this? Monica publicly announced that Elsa's magic evaluation was the highest level, celestial. She then smiled coldly and pointed a finger. Mourn, as a homeroom teacher. You have been so careless in evaluating a student's aptitude. You are unfit to teach. From this day on, you are demoted to a regular teacher. Morn collapsed to his knees, his face full of regret. Elsa received congratulations from her friends, but she couldn't be happy. The thought of the life or death trial Augustine mentioned filled her with dread. Could it be the sacrificial ritual? Just then, Oceus ran over. Sister, I knew you could do it. But the next moment, he looked weak and collapsed before he could finish his sentence. At his sister's freshman showcase, he accidentally inhaled a magic potion, causing the curse within him to erupt prematurely. Even the Empire's top physicians were helpless. The physician glanced meaningfully at the princess. To save Oeus, they had to address the root of the problem. Elsa knew the only way to save Oeus was to sacrifice her own soul. Her father slammed his fist against the wall, his eyes blazing with murderous intent. Guards! Summon the troops! A platoon of soldiers appeared behind him. Elsa was stunned. Where is father going? He turned and said coldly, Whoever harmed my child will pay the price. Elsa grew anxious. Her father was going to confront the Grand Empire. She would take care of her brother. Elsa rushed after him. Adrian reached out to go with her, but Blair stepped forward. As your guardian knight, let me accompany you. Meanwhile, in the Grand Empire, the Duke was kneeling before the king. The King of Grand shattered his cup in anger. Phaedra, that was a brilliant idea of yours. Not only did you fail to stir up trouble, but you also made me lose face in front of everyone. The Duke had a backup plan. He had good news for the king. The Prince of the Aurelian Empire has collapsed. Think about it, Your Majesty. Oeus is the sole heir of the Aurelian Empire. If something happens to him, the empire will have no successor. The King of Grand thought for a moment and finally smiled. A kingdom without an heir has no future. He patted the Duke's shoulder and told him to monitor the Aurelian Empire's movements. The palace doors burst open, and a guard rushed in. The Aurelian Empire has surrounded us with their army. The two men who had been gloating just a moment ago were stunned. Outside the palace, Ozel, clad in armor, led his troops, completely surrounding the Grand Palace. The King of Grand, flanked by his entourage, finally came out. What are you doing here with so many soldiers in the middle of the night? Ozel drew his sword and pointed it at the king's throat. The atmosphere was incredibly tense. My son has fallen into a coma because of the potion you used. The people of the Grand Empire must pay the price. Elsa was on edge. She had never seen her father so enraged. The King of Grand was furious. How dare you point your sword at me? Are you trying to start a war between our nations? Ozel's expression grew even colder. The Aurelian Empire has never feared any war. The King of Grand was terrified. Ozel was a madman. The Grand Empire alone stood no chance against him. He clenched his fists and finally chose to compromise. What makes you think your son's collapse is related to the potion? He's cursed. Ozel didn't waste words. He rushed forward, at the tip of his sword at the king's throat. The king of Grand backed down. Even if it was the potion, it was the duke's idea. It has nothing to do with the Grand Empire. Both Duke Fedra and his daughter were shocked by the king's words. The king of Grand pointed at the duke. "Guards, seize Fedra." The duke's arrogance was gone, replaced by desperate pleas. To save the Grand Empire, the king had no choice but to sacrifice the duke. His daughter Bella, failing to grasp the situation, jumped out and shouted, but she was also arrested by the guards. The king of Grand then announced that the house of Duke Fedra no longer existed. King Ale was about to sentence him to the severest punishment. Princess Elsa was shocked. The severest punishment was the most terrifying form of execution, trapping the criminal soul in an endless cycle of reincarnation. It was the first time she had seen her father be so ruthless. He had always been a kind yet strict father to her, and she had forgotten that he was not just a father, but also a king. Faced with the possible death of his only heir, he might just sacrifice her. The king remained cold. "If anything happens to my son." Today's punishment for Fedra is just the beginning. After returning to the Empire, Elsa looked worriedly at her brother. "He still hasn't woken up," Headmaster Monica thought for a moment. "Although the curse is powerful, it's not impossible to wake Osius." Elsa was stunned and quickly asked how to wake her brother. Among the beastkin, there is a sacred artifact that can counter curses. It can weaken the power of the curse. Hearing this good news, Elsa was overjoyed, but Monica's expression was grim. Osius's curse has the aura of the undead. It's a curse cast with a deeply resentful spirit as a medium. Even the most powerful mages on the continent can do nothing about it. The sacred artifact can only alleviate it and wake Osius up. The most urgent task now is to find the artifact, the Daydream Lily. But the sacred artifact was in the beastin's lair, the mystical forest, a place only known to them. An idea popped into Elsa's head, and she turned to look at Adrian, but he sighed. He had been separated from his family as a child and didn't know where the mystical forest was. Her father's face was dark. "I will send troops to find the mystical forest. I will definitely bring back the Daydream Lily." He gently patted Elsa's head and told her to rest before striding away. Watching her father's back, Elsa decided she couldn't just stand by. In the following days, she researched countless documents and gathered information with Adrian. Even her best friends used their family's intelligence network to search for the mystical forest. Just as the three of them were at a loss, a voice interrupted them. Giles and Celia appeared. "If you don't mind, let us help you." With their help, the group was re-energized. Celia wanted to search the library's books, but Elsa looked dejected. They had already searched every library in the past few days. Celia thought for a moment. The library only has official documents. Maybe the clues are in a more hidden place. Adrian suddenly remembered something. There's a place called Blackwater Street. It's a well-known black market where all sorts of shady deals are made. The information there is the most comprehensive. But the most dangerous thing is that you never know who you're dealing with. Elsa's face was grim. No matter how dangerous it was, if there was even a glimmer of hope, she had to try. Elsa and her friends decided to go there to gather information. Everyone in the black market wore black cloaks, and ill-intentioned gazes were everywhere. Elsa's face was grim. This place was more dangerous than they had imagined. They had to be quick. Adrian was leading them to a shop owner known as the Know-It-All. To their surprise, the information shop was right behind them, and a witch was already waiting. Elsa was about to ask her a question, but the witch stopped her. "Little girl, I know what you want to ask. Place your hand on the crystal ball, and you will find the answers you seek." Elsa placed her small hand on the crystal ball, but nothing happened. The witch spoke again. "Two people must hold hands for it to work." Adrian was about to step forward, but Blair rushed in. After a moment of preparation, they asked about the mystical forest. The crystal ball glowed brightly, and then a voice came from it. Perfect match. It turned out to be a fortune-telling device for love. The group was completely baffled. They were in the wrong shop. Adrian quickly led them away. After some searching, they finally found the real know-it-all. A white-haired old man sat calmly. "What information are you young customers seeking?" Elsa quickly asked him about the mystical forest. The old man's eyes narrowed. What did you say? He slammed his hand on the table, startling the group. The old man's face grew even darker. You dare to ask about the mystical forest? You've got some nerve. Blair and Adrian immediately stood in front of the others. What do you want? The old man lit his pipe. To sell top-secret information, of course. The group rolled their eyes. He had made the atmosphere so tense just for that. The old man waved his hands. All the information in the black market came from him. He not only knew where the mystical forest was, but also how to get there. The group's faces lit up with joy. They thought they had finally found the right place. But the old man's eyes narrowed. A few fat sheep have wandered in today. It would be a crime not to fleece them. The old man immediately stated that his information was very expensive. But Elsa was not easily fooled. She said that money was not an issue, but how could they know if the information was genuine? The old man pointed to the ceiling, and a box floated down from a bookshelf. Inside was a mirror. This mirror was called the Abyss Mirror. It could teleport you to the mystical forest from anywhere, but it could only be activated by beastkin magic. Adrian sniffed the mirror. It indeed had the scent of the beastkin. Seeing their determination, the old man quoted a price of 500 million. In addition to the money, he also wanted the Star Soul ring on Elsa's hand. He already knew that the Star Soul staff had chosen her as its master. Blair and Adrian immediately stood in front of her. You can't have the princess's ring. The old man was unfazed. If you don't want it, I'll sell it to someone else. Elsa was furious. She decided to teach this old man a lesson. Elsa smiled and waved her hand dismissively. We're not buying. Whoever wants it can have it. She then led her group out of the shady shop. The old man, however, was confident. This mirror was the only way to get to the mystical forest. They would be back begging him. But Elsa already had a plan. She and her friends spread a rumor throughout the black market. The shady shop has a sacred artifact of the beastkin. They even exaggerated the mirror's magical properties. The next day, as the old man was eagerly awaiting their return, the shop door was kicked open. A group of thugs with axes stormed in. I hear you have a sacred artifact of the beastkin. How about you let us borrow it? The old man was stunned. Why are the axe gang here for the mirror? The scar-faced leader slammed his hand on the table. I hear this mirror can grant the immense power of the beastkin. Hand it over. The old man was panicking. The mirror was just for teleportation. It wasn't that magical. The scar-faced man grabbed him by the collar, threatening him to hand over the artifact. When the old man didn't respond, he was thrown across the room. His underlings started ransacking the place, and precious books and potions fell to the floor. The old man panicked and tried to stop them, but the axe gang wouldn't listen. Just then a voice called out, and the old man turned to see Elsa and her group. How about you sell the mirror to us at a discount? The old man finally realized it was you. This was all you're doing. Elsa put on a dramatic act. I just heard the news and rushed over. The old man was deep in thought. The abyss mirror was now a hot potato. It might be better to sell it to this little girl. Elsa offered to buy it for 10,000 gold coins. The old man, still not giving up, stuck to his price of 500 million. Elsa shook her head, refusing the price. The axe gang, playing their part perfectly, pressured the old man to hand over the mirror. In the end, the old man had to compromise, or he wouldn't even get the 10,000 gold coins. Elsa took the abyss mirror and tossed him a bag of gold coins. The axe gang members then surrounded the group. Elsa handed the mirror to Adrian behind her. He held the mirror with both hands and unleashed a surge of his magic. A blinding light erupted. When the axe gang members opened their eyes again, Elsa and her friends were gone. They had been teleported to the mystical forest. A massive, shadowy beast was silently watching them. Little did they know, a much greater trial awaited.